of course we don't have perfect confidence in those sciences, but it is also a bit arrogant actually to think that you could sort of wash away or don't respect and take into consideration for knowledge and understanding of humans to just ignore chemistry, biology, and math or physics, um, because it's such a close. You're basically up against the uh, philosopher of science in the 18th century. I mean, David Hume. Are you on the level of David Hume? Are you on the level of Voltaire? Is well more of a writer, not necessarily a thinker, but also a thinker who made it more publicly. Um, or on the level of Descartes. I mean, if you're not, it is quite arrogant to think that you could sort of discard the insights of the natural sciences. They are really sharp people, and so and yeah, for sure. Well, then are you not arrogant to say that you know that the natural sciences sort of be privileged? I mean, shouldn't it be all equal at least? Yeah, they're equal in the way that they have might have sort of insights to society and how we could make it better, and how important they are, for understand the world. But it's more about the confidence that you can have that they're actually correct. Because it's too messy in those humanities and soft sciences that it's so extremely hard to get to the right conclusions, that you're probably fooling yourself that you actually got it right. And that's requires humility to accept. And so yeah, that's at least my take on it. And of course I could be wrong, but on this is among the most those topics that I sort of for myself laid a very solid foundation for earlier in life. But everyone could be wrong, but so I should be humble too in that. But I mean, you're up against those giant minds if you think that you should not take into consideration biology, evolution, chemistry, and physics. And today it's most happens most as a biologist, but basically perhaps the most debatable or yeah, controversial. And that's just saying that biology is controversial is for me like it's almost as I like to say that you're not very intelligent if that, but to only have that perspective or sort of make a lot of conclusions on that sort of that, I don't know, saying if you for example say okay, men and women seem to have biological differences, and therefore it's justified that a man gets more paid because they have some instincts or whatever that makes them. I mean, then you're starting to making assumption that's not. I mean, I don't have a rigid opinion on this. That I just want to make it clear that yeah, you can. It does not mean that it is. How should I put it? It should not be used as an sort of obvious argument that everything that plays out in our society is a good thing. I mean, you could argue that yeah, it would almost be like saying that just because we have biological instincts to murder each other, we should do it. I mean, it's insane. So then the question becomes, what should we do about that? There's perhaps a pay gap. What, should we do anything? How should we handle it? Should it be eliminated? I mean, I don't have the answer. I'm just saying that just because are looking at biology, that doesn't mean that justifies what happens in the world. That's not the same thing. And I think that's where it gets sour when it becomes controversial, because people think then when you bring up biology that means that that justifies everything that happens in the world that have biology as an explanation for it happening. That's an error to think that, and that's probably one source of many troubles, debates, and so on and so forth. I don't think I should continue much more on this. I think this is enough for this time. It's quite should you put it? Well, I should at least end it with the sort of one, as I was about to explain earlier, that what if someone says, well, how is this actually going to help me in life? And I think, like, for example, I forgot to finish that thought. Charlie Munger mentioned that you should basically have academic models in your head so you understand the world, and he says you should actually be ingrained so you use them daily. And for me, I'm just, I guess, a little lucky, because evolution struck me really hard in 8th grade. It was a opening for me that is so interesting, and just how the heck is that what all this comes from? Sort of on a philosophical level, it was sort of revolutionary for me to realize, well, how we developed from apes and all that. And so it got so deep, so I actually learned to, my whole life I viewed people in that sort of, and understood that, well, they have a biological motivation to do that. They're perhaps in self-interest, for reproduction, for security in relationships, or perhaps non-security, or some people abuse the trust of other people. They might sort of manipulate you to doing something, and the most horrific of them are probably from the male side, is the basically pretending to love someone and they get pregnant and then you just leave. Or from the woman's side, the worst is basically that you have a partner and trick someone else and get babies with them, but you trick the other partner that their children, and those both of those modes are like, it's really, you compare it, in biological sense, is basically like killing babies. Oh no, not completely, but almost. And now today, a woman without a husband can make it on her own, and some might even prefer that, but it's still like pretending to love and then just leave and just for the sex. It's, yeah. So and so understanding how people work and understanding incentives, yes, understanding that, for example, when some in humanity says what's all about power, yes, you can say, yeah, for sure, people are after power. We are after resources. We have instincts in our genes that want to acquire a lot of resources and power, because it's good for it would be good for our children, that they will not starve and so forth. And it's that doesn't mean what you should justify, of course, bad ways of acquiring power, but it is so my basic thing here is that, yeah, if one can use natural sciences in their understanding about how other people work and why they work the way they work, and also, yeah, just connecting the dots in general of what you should do in your life,